Trixie looked around slowly, finding herself on her old stage in front of the entire crowd.
This is... Trixie is glad you remember it,
Said a voice. Her voice. Trixie's eyes widened as she turned to see herself, complete with all her old stage gear. The other her sneered at her with a smirk. But it was the eyes that scared her, not because it reminded her so much of her sister. Not because it reminded her so much of her sister's eyes, but because she saw them on her body.
You have what it takes to be the great and powerful Trixie.
The other Trixie announced dramatically, fireworks going off. Trixie backed up in fear.
This has to be a dream. It has to be.
She muttered, trying to concentrate and alter it, and nothing happened.
Why isn't it working?
Checker smirked behind the mask of her sister's old self. Normally they'd be evenly matched, but with Trixie's mental state as it was, Checker was stronger.
Because Trixie is Trixie too. Or did you forget that, you weak little fool?
Asked Checker, approaching Trixie.
Get away from me!
Trixie yelled, trying to use an explosion of fireworks to escape. Checker's horn lit up, but it was hidden under her hat. The smoke, instead of going outwards, surged back into Trixie's face. Trixie coughed and hacked, sinking to her knees until Checker let the smoke dissipate.
Did you forget? Anything you can do, Trixie can do better.
Checker stated, smirking.
Not that it's hard to do it better than a weakling like you.
The crowd laughed.
Trixie isn't weak.
Trixie yelled, getting to her hooves. Checker laughed.
Really? What about all that help you've accepted recently?
Trixie shook her head desperately.
No, Trixie hasn't accepted any help. Oh, really? Being taken in by Twilight Sparkle? Trixie was just letting a favor be repaid. And letting them give you jobs. Trixie needed work. And what about letting them help you in that play you put on? Trixie, I don't know.
Checker got in Trixie's face.
Face it, you've done nothing but accept help from others. You're nothing but a little fool who needs somebody to hold her hoof to do anything right.
Trixie backed up, tears streaming down her face.
Stop. I'm not. I don't. When you were the great and powerful Trixie, you didn't need any help at all. Now that you've gone soft, you can't do anything without help.
Checker continued, Trixie sinking to her knees, looking up into her face.
You're a failure. You can't even pick up garbage by yourself. Failure, failure, failure.
Chanted the crowd over and over.
No, I'm not a failure.
Trixie yelled, curling into a ball and covering her ears with her hooves, crying her eyes out, reverting back to a filly as she did so.
You're a disgrace to the monarch name. The great and powerful Trixie was so much better than you.
Checker stated.
You should have listened to your sister. Then you wouldn't have become the worthless waste you are now. You're weak. You'll always be weak. I'm not weak. I'm not.
Sobbed Trixie, wanting to be anywhere but here. Anywhere, but nothing happened, nothing changed. Trixie's colors began to dull more.
Just like your weak, pathetic grandmother.
Trixie gasped.
You're right. Of course, the great and powerful Trixie was. Was there any doubt?
Trixie rose back to her hooves, growing back to her adult self, colors returning, realization gleaming in her eyes.
Trixie is like her grandmother, but neither of us are weak. What?
Asked Checker, staggering back. Trixie's new costume manifested on her. She ripped the gem off the great and powerful Trixie's cape and put it on her own.
Anything that Trixie can do, the great and powerful Trixie can do better. And how about this? Trixie is going to tell you a story. Stop it! You're not supposed to!
Trixie glared her mirror in the eye.
There once was a little filly. She loved her grandmother very much, but her father's beliefs were different than her grandmother's, and her sister filled her head with ideas that painted her beloved grandmother as a weak fool. And the filly was foolish enough to believe it, foolish enough to listen to some pony who always wanted to hurt her, foolish enough to disown the one pony she loved more than anything else. That filly grew up into a selfish, narcissistic mare whose only joy came from humiliating others.
Checker staggered back again, but Trixie didn't give her any breathing room.
Then that mare lost everything due to her own lies, and her family turned their backs on her. But then she found friendship. She found ponies who would help her through thick and thin, a unicorn who gave her a home when she needed it.
Twilight suddenly appeared next to Trixie, smiling to her friend. Checker gasped.
But how? You shouldn't be able to. A unicorn and an earth pony who gave her forgiveness. A Pegasus whose kindness tore away the lies that had blinded her for so long.
Trixie continued being flanked by Rarity, Applejack, and Fluttershy.
3 little fillies who gave her friendship, who gave her something she could fight for.
The Kitty Mark Crusaders appeared at Trixie's hooves.
An earth pony who made her laugh when she was hurt. A Pegasus who finally forgave her and comforted her when she was at her lowest. And a baby dragon who opened his heart to her when he realized how alike they were.
Pinkie Pie, Ramdash, and Spike now joined the group. Derpy, Ditzy, and Pimp appeared as well.
This can't be happening. You can't be doing this.
Yelled Checker in complete disbelief.
You can't overpower me. Not here. I never lose.
But it was true. As much as Checker tried to will the friends away, they just wouldn't vanish. Checker couldn't do anything. She was powerless. A nightmare had become a dream, and a dream had become a nightmare.
And a mare that finally managed to grow, to break free from things she'd let herself be molded into.
Trixie yelled, glaring Checker in the face and driving her back further, her friends by her side.
Yes, she accepted help. Yes, she became a kinder pony, but she was anything but weak, and finally saw that her grandmother was as well.
Helena Midsummer manifested behind Trixie, a gentle hoof on her back.
No, not you!
Checker muttered, looking in shock at the insidious mare, swore the grandmother was looking at her in sad disappointment.
Trixie is Trixie. Trixie is her own mare, not her father's, not her sister's, and she is most definitely not you.
The unicorn shouted, Checker driven to the edge of the stage with a gasp.
Trixie isn't you anymore. Trixie will never be you again, and she will not be her her sister. She may have headed that way once, but not now, and never again. So the great and powerful Trixie.
Trixie asked, giving a smirk.
Farewell.
Checker screamed as she finally lost her balance and fell backwards off the stage and kept falling, plummeting into a black abyss. And Trixie turned into the embrace of her friends and grandmother. Trixie rolled over in her sleep, a smile on her face and a joyful tear running down her cheek. Where her fur had dulled earlier regained its color. Checker gasped, launching out of her nightmare in a cold sweat and panting, her own personal nightmare.
It's not possible. She can't beat me.
Checker asked, head down in disbelief.
Trixie beat me. She beat me in the world of dreams. This can't be happening.
She slowly walked back to the hilltop and sat down, looking over the town, Rover holding her umbrella. Helping Hoof ran up.
I'm so sorry. I had to tend to something, and you were gone when I got back.
He pleaded, didn't notice Checker's state.
Trixie beat me. She beat me.
Checker repeated, helping Hoof and the dogs couldn't see her face.
Miss Monarch?
Asked Helping Hoof. He slowly approached and put a hoof on her shoulder. Checker snapped around, looking him in the eyes, and at that moment he saw something snap in those eyes as lightning flashed. Helping Hoof staggered back in terror, as did the diamond dogs, the umbrella flying away in the wind.
Well, what have we here?
Checker asked, her eyes completely unhinged, her mane and tail hanging limp and frazzled. She moved more like a wild animal than a civilized pony.
Where have you been, Helping Hoof?
She asked, giving a calm monotone.
I just had to replace my,
Said Helping Hoof, looking horrified by this change. The dogs were cowering.
Well, guess what?
Checker said, snorting hot air out of her nose.
You are not leaving my sight again until Trixie is ruined. Do you hear me?
The mare yelled, losing the monotone, and instead her voice alternated between her normal speech and a high-pitched tone. Helping Hoof nodded desperately.
Miss Monarch, I think you might be suffering from a slight case of cutie mark failure.
Of what?
Yelled Checker, putting her horn to his throat.
I'm not a failure. I didn't fail at anything. And don't you ever say that again.
She yelled, her voice still alternating erratically as she screamed. Checker turned, letting Helping Hoof fall on his flank in terror. The mare turned back to the town, looking it over, the almost predatory look in her eyes settled on Canterlot in the distance, then back to Ponyville, staring through her wet, ruined mane.
A town in Canterlot's shadow.
She muttered once more in the calm monotone. She then got a maniac smirk on her face. Slowly she started to chuckle. Not a normal cold chuckle, but a completely unhinged chuckle. The red on her cutie mark began to run off as rain continued pouring, revealing a black hot in place of the red one. Rover looked over Helping Hoof's shoulder, cowering in fear.
What happened to Pony?
Helping Hoof looked at Rover.
I don't think anything happened to her. I think this is her true face.